If you're learning Spanish, then trying to translate this paragraph is probably going to be quite useful for you to practice your Spanish, see what you know, and fill in some gaps. So first of all, I might be overwhelmed. Wow, it's quite a big paragraph of Spanish. Just 3 pages of Spanish. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it comes down to individual words, individual chunks of language, like I like, the verb to go, on holiday. To go on holiday actually is a kind of phrasal construction that we'll talk about. To Malaga. I usually. For this I'm going to need the verb soler, which I've done videos on in the past. So let's crack on. First of all, how do I say I like? Do you know the answer? I like? Me gusta. Next I need the verb to go, which is ir. Now to go on holiday, we don't actually say en vacaciones, on holiday or on vacation. We say literally to go of vacation. Ir de vacaciones. Now to Malaga, a Malaga. And there we have our first sentence. Now for the start of the next sentence, I usually, it's coming from the verb soler, which means to usually do something, and it's a stem changing verb. So actually I can't just take off the ER and add an O, it changes in the stem. It actually goes to suelo. Now this is a really cool word. Soler is a really cool verb. We don't really have it in English. We say I usually and then the verb. You usually and then the verb. But in Spanish there's a verb to usually do something. So because I'm using this, I need an infinitive next. So I need the verb to go, but not I go, not boy. I need to go, which we've already used up here. Suelo ir. I usually go. Yeah, it's like I'm saying I usually to go. It's a bit weird, but it's the way it works. In July now, in is just en, can mean in, on, at. It can also mean by, if we're using it with the mode of transport. July, Julio. Now there may be a learning point here for you. In Spanish, the days of the week, the months of the year, they don't need capital letters unless they go at the start of the sentence. With my family, ¿cómo se dice with my family in español? So with is con. I always remind people, most English speakers have heard of chile con carne when you say it in an English accent. Chile con carne, chili with meat. In this case, we don't want con carne, we want with my family, con mi familia. And there we have our second sentence. Now the next thing we're going to need is the verb to visit. Do you know what the verb to visit is? Visitar. So visitar is to visit. It's an AR verb, so I need to be remembering my AR verb endings. I want we visit, so I need to get rid of that AR. O as a, amos as an. Visitamos. We visit the city centre. Now the city centre, I could just say the centre, el centro, or ideally to really kind of get the full expression, I need the centre of the city. The city centre, the centre of the city, el centro de la ciudad. El centro de la ciudad, because. Now because, hopefully we know this word, porque. Remember, because is just one word, no accents. If I write porque like this, separate it and I give it an accent, then it means why. So it's pronounced the same, porque, but it's written differently. This is because, this is why. A common mistake to try and avoid. Because it is. Now it is, es. Remember, es can mean he is, it can mean she is, it can mean it is, and then I want old and pretty, okay? Old for a person, I could say viejo, vieja. But for a place, for a building, or for a town or a city, I'd normally use the word antiguo or antigua. In this case, the noun I'm describing is el centro, it's masculine, so even though la ciudad is feminine, it's the center. This is my key noun. So it's antiguo. Porque es antiguo, and y, a connective you simply can't live without in Spanish. Pretty could be bonita, but again, it's el centro, so it's bonito. There we have 3 sentences of Spanish, just breaking it down into chunks. I like to go, knowing that it's to go of vacation, so it's to go on holiday, knowing these kind of small differences between the languages. Now I'm going to rub this off and we're going to look at the second half of the paragraph. So here we've got we usually. Once again, we need the same as with I usually, we need that verb soler. Now it's going to be solemos this time. Because it's a stem changer, the last time it went to suel, stem changers, we call them boot verbs, because they kind of follow this pattern. Suelo, sueles. Suele, Solemos. See how this is regular. It doesn't have the stem change outside of the boot or the L shape. Soles, and then back to the stem change, suelen. So we've got swell, 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 sol, sol, swell. That's why people call them boot-shaped verbs or L-shaped verbs. We get the same with like puedo, poder. Puedo, puedes, puede. Podemos, podes, pueden. We get the stem change always in this pattern. So for that reason we need solemos. And then to take a stroll. Now Spanish has lots of verbs for walking. Caminar, there's andar, and there's one which implies a kind of more leisurely walk, which is what we want here, a stroll. Pasear. And on the beach, we're not actually going to say on the beach, it sounds a bit more natural to say por la playa. Pasear por la playa. Not the end of the world if you said pasear en la playa, not the end of the world. But we often use pasear por el parque, to stroll through the park. Once again, and, y, my, me, sister, hermana. So now we've got my sister sunbathe. So, do you know how to say to sunbathe in Spanish? The verb we need is tomar. Tomar, it's an AR verb, it means to take. We literally say to take the sun, to sunbathe. Tomar el sol. Because it's my sister, I need to change this. My sister to sunbathe is what we have at the moment. My sister sunbathes. I need to put it into the she form, the he, she, usted, or the it form. So I'm going to take off the AR, o as a, toma el sol. Tomo el sol, I sunbathe. Toma el sol, he or she sunbathes. But I prefer, now but, this is a word to be careful with. Pero. If I accidentally wrote it with two R's, not only does it change the pronunciation from pero to perro, pero, perro, pero, perro, it also changes the meaning. Perro is a dog. I don't want a dog, I want the connective but. I prefer, this is another stem changer. Preferir is the verb, preferir, but I'm going to go to prefiero. Prefiero, prefieres, prefiere, preferimos, preferís, that's outside of the boot. So let me show you that again. We call these, in grammar terms, they're actually called radical stem changing verbs. And it just means the stem changes. Normally we remove the ending and it stays the same. So if I've got preferir, normally this would change, but this would stay the same. But it doesn't. It goes to prefiero, prefieres, prefiere, preferimos, preferís, prefieren. So these two are the only kind of regular parts of that. So I prefer, prefiero. Now, anytime I use me gusta, me encanta, odio, no me gusta, prefiero, I need an infinitive after that. This is a really common mistake that people know the I form, I go, boy, and they say I like to go, me gusta voy. That literally means I like to, I go. Doesn't make sense. I like to go. We need the infinitive. I prefer to go. Or in this case, I prefer to swim. Do you know the verb to swim? Nadar. It's an AR verb. Prefiero nadar in the sea en el mar. Interestingly, el mar is masculine. In French, la mer is actually feminine. In Spanish, you will come across, at some point in your life, you'll probably come across la mar. Sometimes el mar becomes feminine. For example, in poetry, it's often used in the feminine form. So it's actually a very rare example of a word that has the masculine, has the feminine, but it's mainly used, and in all formal settings, it's used in the masculine, el mar.